So this anonymous person asks, how is a person who has passed away able to return to visit those who are living? Are they not reincarnated already? Are there other questions related to this? Or this is just a random question that come up?
Yeah, this is a random question.
So first of all, have you all heard of that those who pass away will come back to visit? Like before, right? Have you all seen it in movies before? Also, in some movies. Have you ever wondered how in the movies, right? In war movies, there are seldom any ghosts, although there are a lot of people die. Yeah, during wartime, nobody seemed to come back to visit. Usually it's during peacetime, nothing happening. Then people die, then come back and visit. Yeah, wartime too busy, cannot come back. How many of you have had your have someone come and visit you after they pass away? Anyone? Huh? Oh, my mom say yes. Who is it? You raise your hand, mother, you must say. Oh, cannot say, then we dismiss it. Yeah, those who cannot say the whole story, then we ignore it. Anybody else? Any of you who have had may not be a loved one, maybe your enemy, then they pass away, they come and visit you. Yeah, maybe you owe them $5, then they come back for the $5. You come back and they go, Hong Chit, you owe me $5. You remember? They say, who are you? I'm your primary school friend. Yeah, there's all the different ideas about death. And this notion that they will come back to visit is also limited mostly to the Chinese tradition. Yeah. Perhaps I don't know. Perhaps it's because we are Chinese, so we only hear it among the Chinese. So we think that only Chinese have this story. Yeah. Maybe Amao have this story also, but they happen not to tell us. Yeah. But in the movies, they don't show it anyway. No? In the movies, after they die, then they either become ghosts or depending on the movie also. As I said, in war movies, those who die never come back. Yeah, never talk about after they die, they go to hell or go to heaven. Yeah. So the question is, do they actually come back? Yeah. So my sis says, heard about friend's friend came back during the 7 days. No? So there are all these stories about those who come back within the 7 days or something like that. Is there anything related to this in the Buddhist teaching? Yeah. If you look at the Pali Canon itself, there's scantily anything about that. Yeah. There's scantily anything about that. There's mention about those who, after they pass away, then their family members go and ask the Buddha where their family members have gotten reborn to. Yeah, I haven't seen any sutta where individuals go to ask the Buddha, "Hey Buddha, you know my auntie who passed away recently, she came back last night. How?" I mean, maybe I haven't been very thorough reading through the Nikayas, but as far as what I've read so far, maybe in the Kudaka Nikaya, but the rest of it, so far I haven't seen anything. Have you come across any sutta? That's not inside the Pali Canon. So Casey asks, what about the story about Moggallana dreaming about his mother, is that considered a visit? For that, number one, it's not inside the Pali Canon. KC, where's KC? Yeah. So number one, it's not in the side of Pali Canon. Okay. Number two, if I don't recall wrongly, it's not so much that he was dreaming, because Venerable Mahamoggallana, he has psychic power. So he used his psychic power to go and see where his mother is. Yeah. So it's not that his mother go and visit him. Yeah. Yeah. So there are a few things here. The first thing is, what is the first thing? Do you all believe that after dying, we first become a ghost, and then after that we go somewhere to get our posting, then we get reborn somewhere? Have you heard of this? Chinese folklore or Chinese traditional, like common belief is like that. Yeah, 死了做鬼. Yeah, after dying, you become a ghost. Then your ghost, maybe a bit blur. Some ghosts a bit blur, wander about. Then maybe after that, go somewhere. Yeah, and then the Chinese belief is, or then you go to the King Yama, Yellow Wang, 去见 Yellow Wang, and Yellow Wang, the picture, the drawing is wearing the Chinese Chinese costume on the Yellow Wang. So Chinese is everywhere, even in the hell realm or in the ghost realm, also wear Chinese costume. And he will he will sentence you. Okay, you have done quite a lot of good, but also done stupid things. Okay, go back and be a human again. Go and touch up. Yeah. So we have all kinds of ideas. Then there's also the idea that the family members will come back to visit, right? And sometimes they say that within the 7 days when they come back to visit, sometimes they appear as a moth. You know, they say sometimes appear as a moth. So Chinese, whenever they see moth, they freak out. Yeah, Chinese in Singapore. I don't know about Malaysia or Indonesia, but in Singapore, when we see a moth, oh, yeah, small kids will know. Then moth. But and then tell the mother, oh, don't touch it. And maybe don't. Then you ask why? Don't say so much. And sometimes maybe you see the mother immediately go and burn joss stick to the ancestor. Yeah, don't know. The belief is that family members within the 7 days may come back, yeah, and then maybe appear as this or that. But in the Buddhist teaching, there are two things here. One is ghost is a separate realm altogether. Okay, so it's not that everybody die, then you definitely become a ghost. Yeah. There are causes and conditions for each rebirth. Yeah. You need to fulfill those prerequisites, then you can be reborn as a ghost. Yeah. You think you want to be a ghost, then be a ghost. Yeah. Although prerequisites for low realms is lower, not so high. So it's quite easy to go in also. Yeah. But there's also a school of thought that talk about the intermediate state. Yeah. 中阴身. So it is believed that what people see as their family members coming back could be the family members not taking a rebirth yet. In the various commentaries, we see the mention of 7 weeks duration, that at the maximum of 7 weeks duration, sentient beings will take rebirth. But it doesn't mean that all of us have to wait 7 weeks. Sometimes immediately after you die, you are spontaneously reborn. Yeah. In particular, if your karmic fruition is is leading to a rebirth in those states where it's met by manifestation. What does it mean? In Chinese, we call it 化身. Yeah. So for example, if your rebirth, in the next rebirth, the karmic seed that is ripening is due for heavenly rebirth, then usually there's no duration. Yeah. After your last thought moment, then spontaneously, boom, arise there. Yeah. Why? Because there's no other condition required. It's just your karma ripening. Yeah. Your rebirth in that place is purely just your karma. In the text it says, prior to your rebirth, then your palace, basically your living quarters are depending on whether big karma or small karma. Very big karma, then palace. Small karma, maybe small palace. Yeah. Mini size one. Not so grand, the lighting not so fanciful. Yeah, people have a lot of food. You also have food, but maybe different type. But basically, it says that prior to your rebirth, all those will start to manifest. And then at the time when you pass away, then everything is complete. And in some cases, then heavenly beings will also manifest to welcome you. Yeah. Then there are some texts that says that some of those heavenly beings, yeah, that accompany you while you are there are actually your karma, the result of your karma. Yeah. So they are not actual sentient beings. They are just there to serve you. Just as when you're reborn in hell, those hell beings is punishing you is just a manifestation of your karma, not actual beings. Otherwise, you think about it, who create what kind of karma to go and be in hell to punish other people? So other than hell and heaven, some parts of ghost realm is manifestation. Usually we think all ghosts is just ghosts, but actually if you look through the sutras, and I'm just talking about Pali Canon, not purely just Pali Canon, there are different categories of ghosts as well. And some ghosts, actually, you in the Chinese tradition, there's this verse, yeah, 罗刹鬼子母, yeah, when we do the Si Si. So there's the 罗刹, the Raksha, and then 鬼子母. So there are mention of some beings that fall under this category of ghosts, but actually have father, mother. That is the parents. So depending on which one, those rebirth, like animal realm, human realm, I think the what you call that, Ashura realm, yeah. Then these realms, they have father, mother. Those realms that has father, mother, then they need father, mother to be ready. Yeah. So in the commentaries there it says, depending on which one is most potent, yeah, then you'll take rebirth. So within the first 7 days, you will see images related to that karma and related to that rebirth. Yeah. Then the trouble with us is we do good things, we also attach. Bad things, we also attach. So you identify with it and then you then take rebirth. But sometimes the imprint may surface, but you don't connect with it. But after the first 7 days, then it says that the intermediate state will perish, and then a new after that, a new intermediate state will arise again. Yeah, and then again, different of the karmic seeds, whichever is more potent, will arise, and then whether you connect with it. So up to 7 weeks. And this is according to the commentaries. Yeah. So then they say that what we see as family members potentially this is while the commentaries talk about the intermediate state, it doesn't talk about that family members visiting us. No, it doesn't talk about that. Yeah. But in modern times, then some take one and one add together become two, and then say maybe there are those family members who still haven't taken rebirth, and then strong attachment to the family, and then the family members with strong karmic link happen to see the intermediate state. Yeah. What is also possible is your family members, if you actually really see your family member around, especially if it's after several weeks, then it probably means your family member actually take rebirth as a ghost. Yeah. Remember, ghost is not that after you die, become a ghost. If you become a ghost, it means you take rebirth already. So in a lot of Chinese movies, then the ghosts go around. Then after the whoever priest or whoever, then 大胆妖孽，还不要放过他啊！You this uh, uh, this evil one, huh? How dare you still loiter around? Still don't go and take rebirth. Otherwise, I will whatever lah. Very colorful. Yeah, but if you go look at the teachings, it's a bit different. Yeah, it's a bit different. Yeah, what the Buddha observed doesn't conform with the. You must know that many times in movies, dramatization. Yeah, and then plus there's a lot of mix up of different beliefs or different beliefs. Yeah. So Quack say King Yama. Yeah, in the Pali Canon, I actually mentioned King Yama before. Yeah. Luna asks, how about in Tirokuda Sutta? In the first paragraph, outside the walls they stand and at crossroad. Yes. So this particular sutta, so this some similar verses, similar to this verse that Luna just wrote, appears in a few places. Like in the Dhammapada, it appears, and in another sutta, it also appears. And in one of the sutta, Venerable Ananda, while entering one of the city for alms round, saw this being outside the city gate. Yeah, and the description is hungry shades. Yeah, yeah. The description is hungry shades. Yeah. So, but already goes. That's already goes. Not referring to some intermediate state. Yeah. So then I think it's in this sutta. Not sure whether it's this same Tirokuda sutta, but in the particular sutta I saw, then the Buddha told Venerable Ananda that beings in the afterworld, referring to the hungry ghost state, they don't have field to plow. They don't have the means to provide for themselves. So they depend on their family members to provide for them. Yeah. So, but this part, the verse itself is a bit ambiguous. If you go and look at the actual verse, right? I mean, translation, then it says that if an offering is done, yeah, in their name, then they can benefit from it. So some interpretation is, or the common interpretation is, this offering is done to the Sangha, and then the merits dedicated to them. Yeah, this is a common interpretation. Another interpretation is this offering is given to them. So when you, so you literally offer food to them. Yeah, but by and large, if you look at the whole framework of the teaching in Pali Canon, it tends towards the first interpretation. Yeah, that it is offering to the Sangha, and then the merits dedicated to them. Yeah, then in that way they can benefit. Yeah, by thinking of them when you're doing the offering. Yeah. Oh. So this particular verse, yeah, comes from the Pali Canon. Yeah. Sai Kyang says, which school believe in this intermediate state? Zhong Ying Sen, mainly the Yogacara school. Yeah, Yogacara school and most of the subsequent schools all subscribe to this. Yeah, but you must also know that, like for example, in Singapore, we may go to certain temples, we may recite certain sutras, but most people don't belong to any particular school. Singapore is quite saplang one. Yeah, Singaporeans tend to not strictly follow this particular school or that particular school. Yeah. What do I mean by that? It means that we usually don't conform to just the teachings within a particular school. We are not so clean in our school of thoughts. Some say that that's not very good. Some say that it's better. Yeah. For some countries, they are very particular. Yeah, within which lineage you are in. Yeah, I think it has to do with our culture, because we are exposed to so many different race, religion, and language, and we are very comfortable with having things overlap and having different things coexist. So much so that even for Buddhism, we grew up seeing there's Chinese Mahayana, there's Theravada, then within Theravada, there's Thai Buddhism, there's Sri Lanka, and then in recent years, of course, all the while there's Myanmar, and then in more recent years, we also know, oh, Cambodia also have Theravada Buddhism. Yeah. Then as we get to know more, oh, within Myanmar, there's different sayadaw, different lineages, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Then in Thai, there are three Nikaya, and so on and so forth. Then later, as we learn more, oh, actually in the Chinese Mahayana tradition, there are also different schools of thought, San Lun Zhong, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Ba Da Zhong. So most Buddhists, we grew up being exposed to many different school of thoughts. Yeah. So while specific schools, if we talk about specific schools, mainly the Yogacara school onwards. Yeah. If you look at the Madhyamika school, they rarely, if ever, talk about the intermediate state. Yeah. Why? Because only in the Yogacara school onwards, then is mentioned about the Alaya consciousness, the seeds, and from there, then there's mention about the in-between state. Yeah. Whereas the Madhyamika school is somewhat closer to the Stravaka teachings. Yeah. It's a bit tricky. I refrain from using Theravada because Theravada itself is one of the 18 schools. Yeah. The Theravada we have today, or rather, the Theravada school that gave rise to the current set of different Theravada tradition is actually one of the 18 school, which falls under the Theravada tradition. Yeah. The official term or lineage name is Tongdiebu. Yeah, I always forget the Pali name because I learned this under the Chinese Vinaya class, Tongdiebu. So, so when we look at the specific schools, the Zhongguan Madhyamika school, the school that advocates emptiness, tend to be closer to the earlier schools. Yeah, partly because of the proximity chronologically in terms of time. Yeah, and its emphasis is simply okay. Everything arises due to conditions. It's empty in nature. There's no inherentness. Yeah. So doesn't go into the detailed specifics of the mechanics of how rebirth takes place and so on. Yogacara school attempts to give an answer to that. Yeah, I say attempt as in that was why it started. Part of the reason why it started. Jolene says, we hear stories that lamas stay in meditative state for a period of days after pronouncing dead, and the body stays fresh and not decaying. Is the consciousness still present and have not entered the Bardo state, or they are already in Bardo state? So the Bardo state that Jolene mentioned is actually the same as what we call the intermediate state. So I do have a few things, one or two things to say about this meditative state. So the first thing is, when we say someone is pronounced dead, right? it depends on how you pronounce the state of being dead. Yeah. Long time ago, people just check the breath. But today we know that a person may stop breathing for a few minutes, but actually technically not dead. It can still be revived. Yeah. Then we check the pulse. But then we realize that the heart can also stop for a few minutes and still be revived. Yeah, depending on how long, then different damage may be done to the brain, including the main stem. Yeah, and if enough damage goes all the way in to the stem brain, then the person may become vegetative even if revived. Yeah, and usually have to be put on life support because basically the root are gone already. Yeah, so the question is, how were these lamas pronounced dead? Yeah, because in the Chinese, I think in the Chinese text, there's also mention of some venerables who enter meditative state, and then later on, and people didn't know and thought that the person has passed away. Then want to send him for cremation. Then after become quite a bit of uh, uh, I don't know whether it's funny, yeah, but there was a bit of hoo-ha. So about the meditative state itself, I have seen photos and articles, and I don't know whether those articles are trying to be funny or not. Okay, but if you go and search online, Tibetan monks in meditative state, body of Tibetan monks in meditative state uncovered. And if you go and search online, you may find some of those photos where there's really a physical body there, but it's very dried up already. Yeah, they're very clearly very dead. And and yet the article says, oh, this in the Tibetan tradition is talking about this very deep meditative state where the Lama is able to enter into. And so then the article says, oh, the Lama is actually still alive and in meditative state. So when I saw the article, I'm like, quite clearly that photo, I don't know whether they go and mix up the photos or this article is just trying to be funny. Yeah. Like if you show a photo of a monk in meditative state, and has been pronounced dead, with medical equipment checking, then the line is flat. But then the person is just like that and then they have a counter. This is day number 374 days after being pronounced dead. Yeah, then that's something. Whereas the photo itself is basically a corpse, like a mummy. Oh. So so the Jolene's question is the consciousness still present? There's a lot of variables here. There's a lot of variables here. Basically, let's assume, because the actual cases, there's too many variables and there's a lot of question mark of how those are actually done. But let's assume that this state is possible, okay? Then what it basically means is that the truth is the Lama is not dead. Yeah. If the Lama is still in meditative state, it's not dead, ma. Just like the Buddha, when the Buddha said his final words, strive on with diligence, roughly a loose translation. Then after that, Venerable Ananda taught that the Buddha has entered Parinibbana. In other words, passed away. Then Venerable Anuruddha said, no, the Tathagata is now in the fourth jhana. Yeah, because Venerable Anuruddha has the ability to see the state, whereas Venerable Ananda was not able to. And in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, they talk about how later on Venerable Mahakashapa on the way back, yeah, or rather, he didn't know about it, yeah, that the Buddha has passed away already. And then when news got to him, he quickly rushed back. In between, there's some story about him encountering some people. In fact, how he know about it is that he heard some monks talking, saying, now the old man has passed away, finally. Yeah, we can do what we want. So he quickly rushed back. And then it is said that the moment Venerable Mahakashapa got back, the Buddha's body burst into spontaneous combustion. Yeah. So the narrative is that the Buddha was waiting for Venerable Mahakashapa to come back to pay last respects, and then he activated. In the Chinese tradition, it's called Sam Mei Zhen Huo. Yeah. So it's the samadhi fire lah. Loosely translated. Very hard to translate because there's a lot of deeper layer meaning. Yeah, but basically, what if you are there at that point in time, it will appear that, oh, this senior monk came back, pay respect, then after that, the body just ignited on its own. Yeah. So prior to that, everybody would have thought that he passed away. Oh. So this is the closest parallel we can see from the sutta, and we can say that whichever Lama enter a deep meditative state may enter in a state that's so deep that signs of life is not visible, and yet the body doesn't decay. And that's because the Lama or the meditator, for that matter, can be from any tradition, may not be a Tibetan Lama also. Yeah, basically the meditator enter a very deep state. Yeah, and so haven't died. No. My teacher ever mentioned, I think in some texts it talked about, not in some texts, in various sutta, it talked about this concentration called 灭尽定, yeah, 灭尽定, also called 灭受想定, cessation concentration, cessation concentration, also known as cessation of perception and feelings concentration, yeah, or sometimes the order is cessation of feelings and perception, 灭受想定. So this concentration is a very unique concentration because only anagami and above, yeah, that means third fruit enlightened one and arahant, and of course the Buddha is able to enter. Yeah, and when an enlightened one enter this state, the first 5 consciousness plus the 6 consciousness are all dormant. Yeah, are all dormant. Those without, even those with divine eye cannot detect them. Yeah, because the state itself is very sublime. Only someone who is an equivalent is able to know, this person is now in this state. Yeah. So my teacher said that someone who entered this state is very interesting because when someone enters this state, there's nothing that can trigger trigger the person to come out. Yeah, you can slap a person, the person will not have any reaction. Yeah, so the only way the person can come out is 2. One is this person predetermine when he will come out. 2, this person determine what must happen before he come out. Yeah, so he must sort of put a alarm, yeah, put a timer, yeah, in computer terms we say put an interrupt. Yeah, so when the conditions are fulfilled, then he will exit. Yeah, and the interesting thing is this meditative state, the description of it is very similar to nirvana, but it's not nirvana. Yeah, so still can exit. Still can exit. And according to my teacher, various texts talk about how if an enlightened one enter this state, and he determined 100 years later I will come out, his body will not rot. He don't have to give nutrient. The body will just stay that way. It's almost like the stasis state. Yeah. How true? Now I say how true. I say how true. It is. Is it? Because I haven't seen for myself. Okay. I only take it on conviction because it's inside the Buddhist text. Because this part is way beyond me. If I tell you, oh, this one confirmed true, then I'm either lying or I'm overestimating, yeah, what I know. This part I can only tell you, my teacher said this. It's inside the Buddhist text. The thing about this concentration is found in the sutra, yeah, but various other description can be found in the commentaries. Yeah, so this is the other thing that is closest to what you just mentioned. So this is just talking about the principle. But when we talk about, oh, this particular Lama is currently in this state, then the question comes. Number one, are those who determine that he's dead or appear dead medically trained? Yeah. Number two, do they have psychic vision that is confirmed, such that they are able to really see the subtle mental states? Because effectively under the Yogacara school, at this point, only the eighth consciousness is active. Only eighth consciousness is present. First six is totally dormant. Number seven is inactive because it's enlightened already and it's purified. So for unenlightened beings, they can only see at most up to number six. So to them, it's like, hey, this person disappeared. Physically still there, but what happened to the mind? Yeah. But those who are able to, who is at the higher level, are able to detect eight consciousness still present. That's all we can say about this. Okay, very good question. Yeah, so we come back all the way to the original question, which is so this idea that family members come up and visit us, yeah, or friends, yeah, after they pass away. Is it possible? Yes, it's possible. Perhaps in the intermediate state because of the attachment, but if they visit too many times, they may take rebirth as a ghost. Yeah, you visit too many times, then tourist visa convert to PR. Yeah, so better to let them go their way. When time is up, take rebirth, take rebirth. Don't hang around. Want to hang around, take rebirth, then come and do meditation together. Yeah. But this should also tell us something about ourselves. You know, familiarity. Yeah. Over time, as we get more and more familiar with a place, with people, then our attachments sink in. Yeah. Our initial draw towards people or things or places may be due to the initial initial very nice pleasant experience, or sometimes not so pleasant experience. But if this contact prolongs over time and we don't have the right view, we don't exercise the right discernment, we don't frequently contemplate on how ourselves, we are impermanent, we are subject to change, we are subject to suffering, we are still subject to birth, aging, sickness, and death. We're not free from all this. We don't frequently reflect on this. We also don't frequently reflect on how the person that we are starting to become familiar and close to is also impermanent, subject to change, subject to suffering, is no self, is subject to birth, aging, sickness, and death. It's not free from birth, aging, sickness, and death. Yeah. If we don't frequently reflect in this way, then slowly, you know what happens? It's like the seeds slowly grow. Yeah, that roots. And have you seen sometimes in concrete wall, one leaf come out? It's a very good parallel to how if you allow the seed to germinate, it will penetrate very deeply, even go through rocks, go through concrete. Yeah. Then over time, your attachment have a strong holding, and you're craving and clinging on to this samsara. Yeah, comes as a result. We may think, who is so stupid? I want to be reborn in samsara. Who is so stupid? Want to be reborn in hell? We're not stupid. It's just that there's something in samsara that we still cling on. Just one thing is enough to get you stuck. And then in the process, you have to go through all the different places. So let's be watchful. Have a watchful day ahead.
Thank you, 师父。
Everyone, take care. Stay safe.
师傅。
Bye.